this morning. Because it's 2 games. So, hey, good morning. Welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL, not a showdown strategy show. We get to close out week 2 with the doubleheader. This is the best. Seriously, I say it all the time. There's nothing better than some doubleheader football action heading in or to close out the week. Now, I don't know about you fellas, and I'm glad to have you here, but I'm not sure I make it to the end of the Chargers game, Craig, at 1 o'clock. We'll see. I haven't been getting a ton of sleep lately. No, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying you got to find sometimes during the NFL season to do it. Already the 11:30 to 6 or midnight to 6 is tough. Midnight to 6 can be a good thing, but not as far as sleep goes. And now this game, is going to go past 1 in the morning. So it's fun, but you got the late game on tap. How you doing, man?
Yeah, we'll see. I guess it probably depends how good the game is. I know one thing that was killer for me over the weekend is I watched the Bud Crawford-Canelo Alvarez fight on Saturday, which also ended really late. And then Sunday, I do the first portion of Live Before Lock. So one of these days, it's going to be I am not going to stay up really late to watch some sporting event of some kind. So we'll see. It's probably a couple of factors. Is the game good today? Do I have lineups that are all decent? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. I'm excited about it, man. I love these doubleheaders. It makes it so much more fun. I wish they'd do it every week. And it actually, you would be able to, if you could if the schedule makers could get some of the West Coast games, or not even just West Coast games. We had Monday night doubleheaders. I think last year they actually did this, where it was a 7 o'clock and a 7:30 game, or a 7 o'clock, and an 8 o'clock game. So it doesn't necessarily have to always be a West Coast game to make it happen. Hell, give me a 6 o'clock game and a 9 o'clock game. That would be ideal. But anyway, appreciate you guys being with us. Hopefully you had a good week. I had a break-even Sunday, Greg. I'm not going to complain about a break-even day because you're kind of trying to float along and tread water until you hit one in the NFL season. But it's funny, too, because I feel like, and I mentioned to Ben, it was I got so much right, but was still wrong in the sense that, all right, I can speak for you on this as well. We both like the Dolphins offense in this game. And the offense was great. I had some Tua triples on another slate. It's possible that would have done really well. It still cashed, but it wasn't enough. The Tyreek Hill and Waddle games didn't happen to be enough. Early in the day, it looked like it might have been. I had a bunch of the Mac Jones spots. He threw for 3 touchdowns. Juwan Jennings was good. McCaffrey was in the millie. The problem is on a slate like yesterday where the Lions dropped 52, right? And the Cowboys and Giants put up a combined 77. And all of these other games are shooting well over 60 combined points. You need to not only thread the needle, but you need it to be perfect. Like St. Brown, 3 touchdowns. James Cook, I don't think, was even in the millie. That goes to show you how insane of a slate this was.
Yeah, so I did pretty well yesterday, and my lineups were overall not great. I had one really good Giant stack, and that was what made I had one lineup that finished top 20 in a bunch of GPPs. It was Russell Wilson with Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson, which, by the way, was just given. I didn't even know I had that lineup. It was never a thought of mine. I played 150 lineups on FanDuel, DraftKings, and Owner's Box yesterday, and I had one Giants double stack on DraftKings. So it was I had 450 lineups, 449 of them were not great, and then I had one good lineup that the Sims gave me, and that made for a really profitable Sunday for me overall. It was
nice.
Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson with Russell Wilson. Then it had Jake Ferguson in it as a run back. And then Puka Nacua was a one-off, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, and then the Dolphins defense that scored a touchdown. So it just happened to work out. But that's how GPPs go, kind of like what you said, where it's survive and advance. I just kind of broke even week 1. And then week 2, also my lineup's just kind of whatever. And then I just have one lineup the Sims gave me that kind of broke out.
Definitely. Yeah, well, congrats. That's good to see. I mean, it was a weird one. Spicy Chipotle Loughy was right about Neighbors yesterday. It just that that Dallas defense is bad, man. We knew going into it they were bad. We knew against Philly they were going to look a little bit better, but Philly for the most part still had their way with them. And that rain delay, that weather delay, the lightning delay really messed with the offenses in the second half of that game. But I didn't really have much Russ. I didn't have, the Russ plus Wandale, which was necessary. You needed that. Look, I'll take a day like I'm not going to complain. When you have a type of day that it is as high scoring as it is, I typically don't do well in the high scoring weeks. If you asked me what I prefer, and Alex Baker, Awesemo himself, one of, if not, he's one of the best all-time DFS players ever, right? Like this site started because of him. He would always say it for any sport. He's like, I much prefer the low scoring games. He always did much better in those low scoring games. When you have those high scoring games, there's so many moving targets that you have to hit. So it was crazy. I was right about Neighbors. I was wrong about Breece Hall. It sucks too. That game just got so far away from them so quickly. And then there was nothing that you could do. But congrats to all of you guys who did have a good week. Let us know. And hopefully you're rocking the Stokastic avatar. Send it over to us. It's Stokastic HOF on Twitter. Pick up your free month of Sims Max. I mean, you're literally getting a $200 subscription just for rocking the avatar and winning money, which you were going to do anyway. You can win a lot too. You can win up to 3 times in a calendar year, and you can keep it going. And last year, 3 Milli Maker winners with the avatar using the tools. Already a lot of big wins this year through the first 2 weeks. So let's keep going, man. Let's keep going. Aquarius, where's Alex? Alex made millions of dollars, got married, settled down, had a kid, and I think, Greg, he's just enjoying himself right now.
Some would say billions of dollars. Others would say trillions.
Yeah, they would. They'd be wrong, but definitely millions. Definitely millions. Anyway, let's get into it. Hey, if you guys don't mind this Monday morning, coming off the weekend, atone for your sins. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below if you're listening or watching after the fact. We appreciate you guys very much so. And also to all of you guys who watched our perfect lineup video over the past couple of days with Josh and myself, appreciate that, man. We had a ton of fun making that. It's a short, bite-sized video every single week where we build out stacks, let the single lineup sims do the rest of the work. And some of those stacks ended up being, good stacks. And every week, Greg, someone has the opportunity to take home a free month of the Sims Max package. So, if you haven't watched that yet, check it out, especially for people that are constantly on the go and don't always have time to, sit down and watch a full out live stream. All right. You ready to do it?
Yeah, let's get into it. We are on the 1 week anniversary of JJ McCarthy throwing for 140 yards and winning the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. And now people are calling for JJ McCarthy to be benched. Let's see what Monday Night Football brings us today.
Yeah, man, they should go trade for Kirk Cousins. No, I mean, you're right though. The overreaction. What do you think is more of an overreaction? JJ, the one solitary good quarter of football JJ McCarthy played, which was the fourth quarter against the Bears last week, or the other 7 quarters that he's played?
Probably all of it, because you and I talked about this last week as well, which is JJ McCarthy is more or less a rookie, right? Like I know that he's not technically a rookie because it's his second year in the league, but he didn't play last year, and he had a knee injury. He had multiple knee injuries, actually, because it was, not multiple knee injuries, multiple surgeries. He had the meniscus issue. The surgery didn't go well. They had to redo the surgery, and then he ends up sitting out the entire season. So you have a guy who not only is 2 NFL starts under his belt, but also is coming off a significant injury. And for whatever reason, there was just this belief that he was going to be incredible right out of the gate. He could be fine going forward. Maybe he won't be. But the expectations were so incredibly high for him in week 1, and it led to such a lightning rod of takes to where he looked so bad through 3 quarters. He looked good in the 4th quarter, brought them from behind. But, I mean, still, the idea that he threw for 143 yards on 13 of 20 passing and wins NFC Offensive Player of the Week was absolutely asinine. So then there was also this expectation going into last night. JJ McCarthy is super chalky in DFS. I think he was the most popular captain last night, and he played all 4 quarters like he played the first 3 quarters yesterday. So going forward, we'll see. I think that there's still a wide range of outcomes for him, but the idea that he is completely a bust is ridiculous. The idea that he should just be great right out of the gate is also ridiculous.
I think that's a pretty fair way to put it. Anyway, let's get into it. Talk a little Monday Night Football. Tomorrow, Ben and I in the First Look show, will certainly dig into some of these week 1 storylines. Week 2, sorry. Like Mike McDaniel. God, do I feel vindicated. I got so much shit for that guy, for saying how corny he was and how it's going to wear thin on people. But now it appears, hey, you're all welcome on my side. Everybody's welcome. Come on in. The water's warm. And I believe you are. They may have waded in slowly, but at this point, people are fed up. Anyway, Tampa and Houston, Chargers and Vegas. You've got 2, should be close games. Should be 2.5 spread in this Houston Tampa game, Greg, and then 3.5 with the Raiders. Of course, they're the home dogs. You have some offensive line problems in both of the Tampa and Houston sides. Offensive line, no matter who's out there for Houston, is bad. But Tristan Wirfs is out for Tampa. That's a big deal. Like he's arguably the best pass blocking lineman in the league. And Luke Gedeke might be out as well. Looks like a legitimate questionable play. So who knows what happens here? What I can say is, as we dig into this, the quarterback position first, we'll go position by position here. I think you're looking at 4 different guys who are all, and bear with me, I think all of these guys are playable. Now, I know our exposures, and you just pulled it up, thank you for that, are very skewed against Baker Mayfield, and I understand that. Houston has a very good secondary, a much better pass rush than Tampa saw in week 1, although Atlanta did get to McCarthy a lot yesterday, which I think was plenty his fault too. I think all 4 of these guys are in play, though. Herbert's awesome when he's healthy. CJ Stroud, I think he's going to use his legs more this year if he has to escape the breaking down of the pocket. And then Geno Smith as well. But Herbert and Geno have passing yard props of 250 and 240 respectively. It's odd that we're getting no Baker Mayfield, though.
So only 4% of him in the top 150 lineups. I probably like him a little bit more than the 4%. He also is projected to be the lowest owned quarterback of all 4 at the moment as well, pulling 17% ownership. Now, with all of that said, he's also the most expensive. I don't love him necessarily relative to the other quarterbacks. I would want more than 4% of him if I was playing, 150 lineups or probably even 20 lineups. I would want more than one of those 20 lineups to be Baker Mayfield. But with that said, I am definitely more interested in the Chargers-Raiders game than I am interested in the Buccaneers-Texans game. The other thing that I kind of find interesting about the game, I know we're talking more about Baker Mayfield here in terms of how you asked the question, but with CJ Stroud and you saying you think he might run more this year, I'm just kind of interested to see what happens with CJ Stroud this year, because going into last year, it seemed kind of like a foregone conclusion that this guy was going to be an MVP candidate for the next 10 years. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL his rookie season. And then his second year, he just wasn't very good. And he had a ton of weapons around him. Now, I know Nico Collins got hurt for a little bit. And then you also had, the Tank Dell injury. And then Stephon Diggs also tore his ACL. So that certainly worked against him a little bit. I think there's a really wide range of outcomes with CJ Stroud this season. And relative to the 2 lower-owned quarterbacks on the slate, which are both in that Tampa Bay-Houston game, Baker Mayfield being 17% owned, CJ Stroud being 19% owned, Justin Herbert is projected, rightfully so, to be the massive chalk on the slate. But if I'm going to take a shot on one of the contrarian QBs, once again, contrarian being relative to the slate, I prefer Stroud to Baker Mayfield because I think that there is an upside for CJ Stroud that people have kind of forgotten about.
I do too. But I also think there's upside for Baker. The difference here, and I think you astutely pointed this out, is really the price point, right? Let's not get away from the obvious here. It does feel like the price point. I pulled up the live odds tool. By the way, you and me, the cohesion here with you and me co-producing this show, right? We're not even in the same state, let alone the same room, co-producing this one. Fellas, for those of you watching or listening after the fact, we're doing our best here with the old self-production. And I hope it goes noticed. Not that anybody cares. Not that I actually care. I'm just saying this because I was trying to find this. Self-production. I was trying to filibuster while I got there, Greg. See, I'm still wet behind the ears.
Let me tell you how much on the same page we are. I was about to press that button as you did. I was also scrolling through the sound effects to find the applause.
See what I mean? But I want to show you something and just get your thoughts on this. And I think I know your answer, which will come back to the price point on Baker. Check this out. That's why I love looking at props to gauge where we're going. Look at the total pass attempts, right? Stroud 32.5, Baker 32.5, Herbert 33.5, Geno 33.5. Look at passing yards. 229.5 Stroud, 232 for Baker, 252 and 242. Now, clearly you're skewed higher on Herbert, a little bit on Geno, but nothing insane there. And then if you look at passing touchdowns, you're juiced on Herbert, but everybody else, everyone's at 1.5. Everyone would juice to the under. So if you're just looking at something like this on its face, looking at the props, these guys aren't all that different at all. Let's see. Baker Mayfield to score. I'm not even going to go through all these touchdowns because they're all going to be pretty similar here, right? They're all going to be pretty significant long shots, plus 700, plus 550. You get where I'm going. These guys all look very similar, plus 500. And who am I looking for last? Geno. Geno's plus 650. So, yeah, you see where we're going here.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these guys, and also, I mean, if you look at our projections, and once again, rightfully so, Justin Herbert's projecting for more fantasy points than these other guys. It's so similar between the other guys, though. CJ Stroud, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, there's one fantasy point differentiating those three guys. So the bigger differentiation point is the price tag. But other than that, the ownership is really similar amongst all three of these guys. 25% for Geno, 19% for Stroud, 17% for Baker Mayfield. The fantasy points are all within about one of each other. So, yeah, they do look really similar across the board.
Very. I like them all. I do think on paper, Herbert's the best quarterback option here. I do. I just genuinely think he is. This is not a good, and I also think the Raiders and Pete Carroll keep this game competitive, but this is not a good secondary at all for the Las Vegas Raiders. It's simply not. And I think they're going to have some trouble here. When Kayshon Boutte comes out and lights you up the previous week, yeah, I think you could struggle. You have Ladd McConkey. You have Keenan Allen, who seems no worse for wear, and his connection with Justin Herbert is clearly still intact. Quentin Johnston over the last 1+ seasons has taken a clear step forward. You know, they have plenty of options. And you have Hampton, who didn't flash much last week, but the guy's probably going to be pretty good. So if we're just talking quarterbacks, could you go back to quarterback one more time?
Yep.
And Aaron Lilly, appreciate you atoning for your sins and hitting that thumbs up. It does not go unnoticed, sir. Jay Nevy, not many. Oh, he's the one. Not enough of you have atoned yet. That is correct. Sometimes just a subtle nudge, a subtle suggestion, and it's okay. We're all busy, but I like Herbert the most. I actually like Geno a little bit more than Stroud is my one thing. I like Geno a little more than Stroud because I think that game has legitimate shootout potential. And the only difference with Stroud is like you can so easily pair him with Nico Collins. When Nick Chubb is your running back, and you don't really have a strong run game, and you don't have all of these other options. Christian Kirk remains out. You know that the Stroud +1 makes a lot of sense, but on a 2-game slate, you're not really building many quarterback +1 type of lineups here. So now you start getting into, is it Hutchinson? Is it Higgins or Noel? 2 rookies this year. Who's it going to be? With Geno, I expect Bowers to play. You have Jacoby Myers. Ashton Genty is a perfectly fine pairing with him as well. Even guys like Trey Tucker coming into this one, who ran a good amount of routes last time out. And you know what? Deontay Thornton appears to be the guy over Jack Betch, although, and Betch only played, 4% of snaps. So I like Geno second to Justin Herbert this week or tonight.
Yeah, I don't think that is unreasonable at all. I do prefer CJ Stroud a little bit to Geno Smith, just because I still have to look at who do I think is more talented with more upside this season. And to me, the answer is CJ Stroud.
Really?
There's
Okay.
also a pretty wide range of outcomes with Stroud. I just don't know. Is he the guy we saw in his rookie season? He the guy we saw in his sophomore season? Is he somewhere in between? It's so hard to say, but also last week was a super weird one for him too. Like Nico Collins did nothing last week. That seemed impossible based on how well he played when he was healthy last year. The entire Texans team is a complete mystery to me.
I think the one difference though with this team now to where we've seen them in the past is the offensive line has regressed so significantly for Houston that, any quarterback when he has no blocking is going to be in a really, really difficult place. And I think that there's no better example of that than Daniel Jones in Indianapolis. This guy just looks good. Like, that is a good football team right there, man. That is a really good football team. And you look at, their defense has some holes, although they did bolster the secondary a bit. But you look at Daniel Jones, how much more comfortable this guy is in the pocket. He looks exponentially better. Jonathan Taylor's ripping off monster games against a good Denver defense because the offense is firing on all cylinders. When you have a quality offensive line and you feel protected back there and you have time to throw and progress through your reads, it makes a huge difference. And since the beginning of last season, CJ Stroud simply hasn't had any of that. I'm not saying he can't have a good game. I'm also just saying I'm not surprised that he's regressed because he doesn't have time to throw.
Yeah, it was definitely a better pass blocking situation for him in his rookie year. He also, though, he had so many weapons to throw the ball to last year. And, that you thought maybe could have made a difference. Like Joe Burrow's played behind shit offensive lines, and putting yesterday's injury aside, he's found a way just because he has so many weapons around him to be elite and for that Bengals offense to be elite. And it looked like CJ Stroud was going to be that guy after his first season.
Yeah, right. Joe Burrow's been able to do it. As someone in chat mentioned, referred to him as Toe Burrow earlier. That's a tough one, man. That is tough. But also, while Joe Burrow's been able to do it, how many times has that guy been injured because they can't block for him as well? Like, very often.
This is the third significant injury that he's had in 6 years now or something like that?
I think. Yeah. Jeff L., does that mean you're going to Tampa defense? Well, I'm of the belief on a slate like this, I don't care about I'll go on any defense that fits. Will I go with Bucks? Sure. Will I go with the Texans D? Yeah. Texans, I think I actually bet the Raiders. I have a small play on the Raiders to win this game or to cover the 2.5. So but that's also because I think DeMeco Ryans and the defense, Greg, like as bad as the offensive line is, their defense is awesome. They have a really good defense.
Yeah, I do. I also have bet on the game just from betting on Kalshi using an exchange. It's just because I don't even like that strong opinion on it. I just know I was able to get a good number, but I have under 42.5 at plus 108. So just because I was able to get that number, I was like, all right, cool. This is a plus EV number for me to bet overtime, but I'm not super opinionated on what the total should be.
Yep. All right. Extract says Loughy will take any D. Only the one after my name, pal. All right, let's go to running backs here and jump into this one because oftentimes on these slates, you're going to have to kind of scrounge for good plays. There's some good running backs on this slate. And when you look at a guy in Ashton Genty, last week, Greg, I don't know if you looked over this guy's numbers. Not great. Now, blocking wasn't very good at all. Patriots actually have a pretty good run defense. We saw it yesterday against Devon Achane. The problem is without Christian Gonzalez, that Patriots secondary blows. And Tua Tagovailoa and company managed to rack up 300-plus yards through the air. I still like Genty today. I actually bet his over rushing plus receiving. I know it feels chalky, but you're telling me you draft a guy top 10 in the draft, right? And then you give him 21 total touches last week. Zamir White is who we're talking about behind him. He played almost 90% of snaps, and now you're at home in what should be a competitive game. Totally understand that, maybe he's not just going to come and light the world on fire early on. But to me, you're getting a guy with 20 plus touch upside, really probably 20 plus touch expectations every week at 7,000 flat, especially with Bucky Irving in a difficult matchup. How do you not like Ashton Jeanty at this price point?
Totally agree. And the other point that I'm curious about too is, what is his pass game work going to be? Because I know a narrative with him as a fantasy asset coming into the season was he didn't really get thrown the ball very much at Boise State. They didn't have to, though. You just ran the ball with him, and he was going to pick up 200 plus yards per game. They were going to win games that way. They simply didn't have to have him involved in the pass game. I don't think that means he is incapable of catching passes. He got 2 targets last week, caught both of them. They only went for 2 yards. It was kind of across the board. There was everything. He was, not super efficient with his touches, but like you said, he got a lot of them. I think this could be a game script that sets up better for him to be more involved in the pass game. I would not be surprised if we see a handful of 4 or 5 target games out of him this season. And that kind of seems to be what the public thinks will not be what his role is this year. But that is based on what he did in college. I'm not saying he's for sure going to be super involved in the passing game, but if I have to make my best guess, I think he will be.
I think he will be too. Now, I don't think either of us are saying like 10 target games frequently, but he ran a route on 55% of dropbacks last week and carried the ball 19 times while Zamir White had 3. So, the volume the volume should be there. And I don't even care if Ashton Jeanty isn't efficient. What's the alternative? Zamir White is not good. He's not good. So it's not like you can just run in there and be fine. So yeah, I mean, you could put anyone else in there. Hell, Raheem Mostert was a coach's decision inactive last week. So they don't want to use him either. To me, yeah, it feels like you at least have to, whether you like him to have a big game is kind of unrelated. It's just, what do you think about Ashton Jeanty at this price point? And a guy that is almost certain, barring an injury, to have significant workload. And if the game does get behind him, I think he'll be very involved in the pass, or at least out there for all of these plays. The good news is you're not throwing any other running back out there as your pass catching back, even if they fall behind. So I like it. What do you want to do with the other backs on this slate?
Sure. So I think there's a couple of interesting decisions to make. One of them is Jeanty versus Bucky Irving. I'm with you. I lean more towards the Jeanty side. Both of them, I mean, they're comparably priced. They're comparably projected, both in terms of fantasy points as well as ownership. The other discussion is Amari and Hampton versus Nick Chubb if you're going to save some salary. And then the third discussion to have is who off the board are we willing to go with? And between Chubb and Hampton, I'm going to go towards Hampton. Not a super contrarian take. That's the way the field is going too. Chubb projected for 28% ownership. Hampton projected for 52% ownership. Chubb just doesn't seem like he's very much juice left to me. This dates back to last year as well, which makes sense for multiple reasons. First off, for a running back, he is old, right? In the NFL, if you are a running back who is 29 years old, also turns 30 years old in a couple months, that's on the older side. He has also had multiple significant injuries. He had the terrible knee injury from a couple of seasons ago. He also tore his ACL in college as well. So those are things that definitely play a factor in Nick Chubb going forward and just in terms of what he has left in the gas tank. But then also just Amari and Hampton draws such an easier matchup and a better game script at home against, or sorry, not at home, but on the road against the Raiders. So Amari and Hampton, I know that he didn't have the best showing in week 1, but that was also a very bizarre spot to be having your first NFL game. He's playing against the Chiefs. The game is in Brazil. And also the Chiefs run defense is pretty good. Like the Eagles struggled to run the ball against the Chiefs yesterday as well. I think this sets up so much more favorably for Hampton than it did last week. So I prefer Hampton over Chubb.
I'm with you. And I want to go to Nick Chubb. Like, there's a part of me that wants to go to Nick Chubb just because of how much less ownership he's going to have. I mean, it's a lot less ownership than these guys, but it's a tough matchup, man. It is a really difficult matchup. And Tampa Bay, as long as you have Vita Vea clogging up the middle of that defensive line, it's tough to run inside against them. I mean, it's really tough to run against them. You saw it last week with Bijan. Don't get it twisted, man. Bijan had a decent game. It's because he had 100 receiving yards. But on the ground, him and Tyler Algier have struggled to find much of anything on the ground. And I just always think that the run defense for Tampa is going to be good. Also, Greg, if you want to check this out too, look at your rushing plus receiving props for these guys today. Bucky's at 89.5 on DraftKings. So big difference from BetMGM. You got a 5-yard difference there. Scroll down a little bit further. Rachaad White, 21.5. He was scarcely used last week. So it's really funny to see. I wasn't sure if he would get some more involvement after last year. Bucky Irving kind of took over, but 76% of the snaps last week went to Bucky Irving, only 24% to Rachaad White. Ashton Genty's at 86.5, 87, 90.5 on FanDuel, on DraftKings. And then Marion Hampton, 74, 75.5. It doesn't look like we have anything for Nick Chubb unless I missed it. I don't think we do. Does he ever? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the other thing too about the Texans backfield. I was just going to stall some time while I try to find what the props are.
Go for it.
They used so many guys in the backfield last week to the point where it makes me concerned about what the downside is for his workload. Nick Chubb got snaps out of the backfield. Ogunbowale got snaps out of the backfield. Dameon Pierce got snaps out of the backfield. And Woody Marks. They played 4 running backs last week. That's a lot of guys. So let's say that Nick Chubb, his first 3 carries go for 10 yards. And then all of a sudden, like Ogunbowale catches a pass for 12 yards. Or Dameon Pierce gets a rush attempt that he runs for 8 yards. Or Woody Marks does. They gave so many guys opportunities last week. That to me signifies they're looking for somebody else to find success here. And I'm not totally convinced that Nick Chubb is going to end up being the guy who gets the most touches in the backfield. He's the most likely one, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I think they're going to give a lot of opportunities to a lot of guys in the early going of the season while they try to figure out what they want the running back rotation to be. Because 4 guys to get workload out of the backfield in week 1, there are not a lot of teams who went with that deep of a rotation.
Yeah, I hear you. And you're right. You look at the routes run too. 9 for Nick Chubb, 1 target. 8 for Dario Ogunbowale, 2 targets. He's actually a pretty good pass catching back. Probably the only reason they keep him on the roster. And then 3 for Dameon Pierce. He didn't catch his target, but that's 4 targets right there between 3 different guys. And Nick Chubb is not someone that's ever been, stellar in the passing game. For what it's worth, Cleveland never actually wanted to pass to running backs. I guess at times they would, but it wasn't like they never prioritized Nick Chubb as their passing down back ever. So yeah, it makes sense. We could look at receiving yards for some of these guys too. I mean, Chubb might not even have a receiving prop.
Probably pretty likely.
He doesn't. I figured if he didn't have a rushing plus receiving, because his rushing prop's at 49. Dario Ogunbowale does though at 6.5. So there's that. Hampton's probably at like 17 and 12.5, lower than I thought, but still. Who else? Bucky Irving is at 20.5. Well, anywhere from 17.5 to 20.5. And then Genty.
Rachaad White. Does he have a receiving?
Yeah, I'll look. Genty's at between 14 and 16.5. So there you go. Rachaad White is 5.5.
Okay.
So yeah, you make a perfectly reasonable point. And when you talk about someone like Hampton and you look at last game, this is not a team that's going to throw a ton to the running backs, but he ran 25 routes. He ran 25 routes and was on the field a ton. Does Najee Harris get more work? I don't know. Maybe. But he played 12 snaps to 52 for Hampton. Hassan Haskins played 1. You make a good point. The volume there alone just kind of suggests that, and also the uncertainty in that backfield where they might just, you want to know how I view this? I view it, and I know you just hate Cam Scatterbo for some reason. It makes me sad. Because I love that guy. But,
by the way, this is a total side note. I had no clue he had a cult following. I had absolutely no clue at all.
He's the man.
He started his career with 10 carries for 15 yards. So I'm watching the Giants game with my brothers and with my dad yesterday. And the Giants passing game, it was like a video game yesterday. This was like the Savannah Bananas playing. Like Russell Wilson just dropping back to back. He's not even looking. He's like just blindly throwing moonballs up in the air. Malik Neighbors making catches. Wan'Dale Robinson does. The only way the Giants offense was being slowed down every time Cam Scatterbo touched the ball, it came to a grinding halt. Anything else, there's like a 40-yard pass downfield. So the Giants have a drive. They're moving the ball effortlessly. And then they gave the ball to Cam Scatterbo. I think it was on 2 plays in a row on 2nd and 3rd down. The ball goes nowhere. The Giants have a 4th and 2 or 4th and 3. And we were joking amongst ourselves, like me and my dad, my brothers, are like, wouldn't it be funny if they give the ball to Scatterbo again for a 3rd play in a row? And what happens is Russell Wilson it wasn't a great pass by Wilson, but he throws it to Scatterbo. Scatterbo was open. He drops the pass, and that ends the Giants' drive. So we're just kind of joking about it, but just throw the ball. They couldn't be stopped through the air. So I just tweet how poorly Cam Scatterbo is playing at that point in time, and it has like 600,000 impressions, and people are so upset about it. And it's so funny to me because I didn't think we brought up, like, you never know what it is that's going to take off on Twitter for whatever reason. People got so upset about it. And in a way that, like, I didn't know. Or people like, do you know how good Cam Scatterbo is? Or people being like, the reality is the only thing I was really commenting on is that he started, to that point, he had 10 carries for 15 yards. And the Giants passing game couldn't be stopped. So it was just like, yeah, just keep throwing the ball. Like, I didn't really think that much of it. And then I just leaned into it a little bit more because people got so upset about it. I'm going to have to mute the tweet today or else it's going to encompass my entire day because people are very angry at me on the internet.
Well, I mean, I don't think they should be angry about something so stupid, but nah, dude, if you go watch some of his college highlights, like, he's just really, really fun. And I think that's why people are excited. Ben knows I'm a big Cam Scatterbo fan. Also, that play, he was bobbling it, and then the dude ripped his head off with a massive face mask. I know exactly the one you're talking about.
Yeah. It was also kind of, he was dropping the pass.
It was behind him too. It was like over here.
It was multiple things. It was not a very good pass. It was also a drop. He still should have caught it.
I think it was also a drop too, yeah.
As far as the contact of the linebacker, the ball was already almost on the ground when the linebacker made contact with him. So there's a good chance he wouldn't have caught it anyway, just because of the linebacker breaking it up. But either way, I just didn't think very much of it. And Cam Scatterbo apparently has a very cult following of, like, middle-aged white guys on the internet who think this guy is, like, the truth. It's like, no. This guy's the next Peyton Hillis. You can't say anything bad about him. And
why you got to bring up middle-aged white guys just because he's white? You say that about Christian McCaffrey too?
No, because he's actually good. So it's different. It's because I just happened to notice, of the people who got very angry that responded to me, every single one I click on, it's like middle-aged white guy in their car with, like, sunglasses on. It's the profile picture for all of them.
I know what you're talking about. But also, to me, it has more to do with his just an insanely angry running style, which is very fun to watch. But anyway, let's keep moving here. If you had to prioritize your running backs for today, unfortunately, we can't play Cam Scatterbo. Oh, the point I was trying to make to you was that Houston's backfield feels like the Giants' backfield, in that they're just trying to find somebody that they can use. They don't trust Tyron Tracy. They don't trust Devin Singletary. So let's give Cam Scatterbo some work. By the way, a couple of those short runs he had were on 3rd down where he drove it home for the first down or a touchdown. But besides the point, I love that you triggered that many people over something so silly. But I do think that the backfield for Houston looks similar. And in a tough matchup, I'm just not very high on them. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Give me these guys, as a matter of fact, exactly, Greg, as we have the exposures. That's how I like them.
Yeah, I don't have any kind of issue with that at all. I feel the exact same way, just because some of the decision points you have to make. It would be really easy to just tell people, just play Genti and play Bucky Irving in all of your lineups. But it's, all right, that's not actually realistic. So you just have to make these decision points of which expensive option you want to go to, which cheaper option you want to go to. But the other point, too, that I'm curious to hear from you, outside of these 4, is there anybody that you're potentially willing to take shots on?
Okay, great question. Let's talk about it. Can we go to projections and just filter by running backs?
Yes. I am going to pull up
I have an answer for you.
Projections
I have an answer, but
page
I would,
here.
The answer is not really, but kind of.
Yeah.
So you can just go into the data hub.
Which is a fair. It's a fair. So I also want to show people, if you don't know how to get to the data hub, I'm sure a lot of people know how to get to the projections page. If you ever want to know a super easy way to get to the data hub, here's a couple ways to do it. You either go to the NFL drop-down menu, and you could do it through the NFL premium data and go to that drop-down. Or if you're on the projections page, which is probably something a lot of you are familiar with, just press data hub, and that'll bring you right over here. And then you could sort by all of the different slates, and you could look at, classic, showdown. You can pull up all of the different projections. This actually is, in my opinion, a much cleaner way to look at all the data. And then also the projections page only has the projections. This is also going to show the ownership all in one spot. So this is a page I think you guys should be using more. But that aside, here are all of the running back projections that we have for tonight's games.
Another thing is, I hope people, if you are subs to this, to the tools, that you use like the Top Stacks tool and the Boom Bust tool as well. We have so many other tools available outside of just the Sims. So highly suggest you check it out. And for those of you hanging out with us right now, we have almost 600 people. Greg, I tell you guys all the time, someone asked like, how much are the tools? You can get them essentially for free if you haven't done so yet. I mean, literally, you can go in to the link in the description, sign up with any of our sportsbook partners, and get them for free. I'll show you how to do it, okay? So you're going to click that link in the description, right, where it says sign up with our sportsbook partners, get the Sims for free. You can see this on the screen, right? There's 4 simple steps. Perfect time to do it is now, too. If you're watching this in the morning and you're like, oh, I got a little time, maybe I can do it during my lunch break, or you're watching later in the afternoon and you still have plenty of time until this game kicks off, click claim offer on any of these books or pick'em sites if you're in a non-legal betting state that you're not on yet. And there's 10 of them on here. There's plenty. Most of you guys are not on every single one of these. Better, BetMGM, Sleeper, Underdog, Chalkboard, Fanatics, Caesars, sure, DraftKings, and FanDuel. Click claim offer. That's the way we can track it so we can give you your free sub. Sign up, make your minimum deposit. It's $5 or $10 on all of these. Like, that's the minimum deposit. It's either $5 or $10. Meanwhile, the price of the tools is much higher than that if you're paying out of pocket, which of course you're more than welcome to do. If you're looking for max or something like that, you know where to find it. Then just place a bet or set a lineup if it's a pick'em site. Once that settles, first thing you do and the only thing you do, take a screenshot of your settled bet or lineup and screenshot of your welcome email just to show us that you did follow the steps, and email us at support@stokastic.com with those screenshots and simply tell us what you want. If you signed up on Caesars, Fanatics, Chalkboard, and BetMGM, you made, let's say 4 deposits, some maybe 5, some maybe 10. Let's be generous, say $30 in total deposits. That is 4 months of the Sims. And you can essentially, if you win all your bets, that's great. You're free rolling entirely. You could ride all the way through the regular season of the NFL simply by signing up with these books. Every one equals another month. Not only that, they give you bonus bets. They give you, look, $250 in fan cash at Fanatics, up to $100 free square on Chalkboard, $1,500 paid back in bonus bets, all of that stuff. Simplest, most no-brainer way to get in on the tools, if any of you guys have been wondering, is right there. Link is in the description. We can make that one happen. Very simply, just email us once you're in. All right, Greg, the guy that I would consider, and if you ever have questions, just hit us up. And Spicy saying, Stokastic tools made me a better player. Definitely worth it. Love seeing that, man. We love to hear that stuff. I think it would be Rachaad White for me. I know it feels gross, but I do think there's always some possibility that Rachaad White just gets a little bit of work there. So that's to answer your question. I don't really know who else it would be unless you're going to like a cheap Dario Gumbawale.
It is Najee Harris for me. So while obviously on the whole, I very strongly prefer Murray and Hampton to him, there's also a reality of we don't know what Najee Harris's role is supposed to be in the offense this year. He missed most of the offseason because of a fireworks accident on July 4th. By the way, it seems like once per year, there's some NFL players involved in a fireworks accident.
It's remarkable, isn't it?
It's a yearly occurrence. So Najee Harris had this eye injury where we weren't even sure if he was going to be able to play football again for a period of time. And he was not really able to practice a ton with the team or play in the preseason leading up to the season. And just as far as how it impacted best ball as well, once the news came out that Najee Harris had the eye injury, his draft stock plummeted in best ball and Hampton's rose because the assumption there, or at least the potential, was that, well, what is going to happen in the backfield if Najee Harris doesn't play for the entire season? It never corrected itself. You went the entire rest of the best ball season with Najee Harris keeping the lower draft stock and Amari and Hampton having the elevated draft stock. And then you get to week 1 of the season and Najee Harris is barely involved in the offense, but also keep in mind, we don't even know if he was really in game shape considering all the time that he had off. So now we're going into week 2, and I do think the most likely scenario is that Amari and Hampton is going to be the lion's share of the snaps, the targets, everything out of the backfield. But there is a possibility this ends up being like a 60-40 or 65-35 split. And I don't think that of any of the other good running back situations, there's any other backup who has the potential to have as much workload as Najee Harris, barring injury, obviously. So you've got Bucky Irving, I feel very confident, is way ahead of Rachaad White in the pecking order. The Texans are going to a ton of guys. The Raiders are only going to be going with a one-man back, considering the draft stock that they spent there. This is the one situation where I think it would not be out of the realm of possibility where Najee Harris plays, once again, not a ridiculous amount, but could he get 30 to 35% of the snaps and touches? Possibly. And I don't think that's a likely scenario for any of the other backup running backs.
I think that is a very fair take. Very fair. I don't think Najee Harris is very good, but I guess you don't really need him to be good. Is it odd that last week he saw only 2 total touches? Yeah, even if you're working him back into the offense, I think it's a little strange that he played 12 out of 65 snaps. But if you're saying if there's one spot where there's ambiguity and we really don't know where they might actually be able to be efficient in a high-scoring game, it would be Najee Harris. So, yeah, I'm with you. Let's talk about some wide receivers here while we're at it. Whoa, okay. All right. So we are taking a few significant stands. 5 players, 40+%. Wow, 6. If you talk about Emeka Egbuka, that is 6 guys about, let's round them up, 40+%. And then it falls off a cliff. Wow, dude. I have no problem getting to some Quentin Johnston, but we're still under the field there. That is incredible. I mean, there is just a grouping of 6 wide receivers that we're getting a ton of that are essentially, you favored 150 lineups, right?
Correct. Yeah. So favored at 150 lineups. And there's a couple of things to consider here. First off, pricing has been crazy soft to open up the season on DraftKings and FanDuel. This is applied to the main slates. It is now also applying to this 2-game slate. It's been a little bit less true for the showdown slates, but whatever, it doesn't matter. The bigger slates that we're talking about here is the 2-game slate. It's not really necessary to punt at wide receiver when you could play Keenan Allen for $4,800, Jacoby Myers for $4,900. The most expensive wideout you have here is Nico Collins at $7,300. So with that said, if it's not going to be necessary to go down to like Sterling Shepard or go down to Trey Tucker or anything like that, what's going to happen is the good wide receivers who have really stable workloads and we know are going to command bigger target shares, they're just kind of easy to fit in lineups, and it's not really needed to go to some of these other guys unless you're just going to leave $1,000 or $1,500 in salary on the table.
It's amazing, though. I mean, I'm sitting here wondering, and you're right, because the pricing is so soft that it's going to just open everything up. If you go to all of our exposure, just go to all for exposure and then go to leverage. Okay, there's one. I was going to ask, are there any spots where we're just getting really significant leverage over the field Dalton Schultz appears to be one of them, but it doesn't look like we're taking any crazy stands outside of a ton of Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, Dalton Schultz at $3,200. He looks like the cheap guy that we're projecting the best overall, which also makes sense when you consider, all right, Dalton Schultz, why he would show up in so many lineups. And also this applies to the limited amount of exposure we're getting to cheap wide receivers. The best projected cheap wide receiver we have is Trey Tucker at $3,300, projected for 7 fantasy points. You're getting nearly a 3 full better projection on Dalton Schultz compared to Trey Tucker, while he's also $100 cheaper. So that just, and also when you think about what these guys' projections are, 7 and 10, Dalton Schultz is projecting for 50% more fantasy points than Trey Tucker at a $100 cheaper price tag in a position that's more difficult to fill. These cheap wide receivers really don't look necessary.
So here's the big thing coming out of Houston, right? And for those of you who know this, you know this, but for those of you who don't, this is another thing to consider. The reason Dalton Schultz is getting the ownership that he, or the exposure we're getting to him that we are, outside of everything Greg just mentioned, look, Dalton Schultz was not the number 1 tight end in Houston last week. He was not the number 1 tight end. It was Cade Stover, all right? Except Cade Stover broke his foot and now he's on the IR. So if you take that out, and there were only 2 tight ends that actually got any snaps last week in Houston, and you consider that Schultz ran 21 routes, Cade Stover targeted 4 times on the 12 routes that he ran, but was out there more, who else is it going to be this week? Right? You're going to have, I mean, he's not going to be the only one on the roster. They have Harrison Bryant, and I'm sure they have a third one on the roster that I'm unaware of. It doesn't matter to me. It's pretty unimportant. I can tell you if you're interested, but you very likely aren't. Actually, I don't know if they do. Brevin Jordan's on the IR as well. Point remains, Greg. Dalton Schultz could be coming into a really significant snap share. I expect Harrison Bryant to play a little, but 3,200 makes a lot of sense at that price point. I'm with you.
And also, Dalton Schultz is somebody who we've seen him play a prominent role at tight end in the past, back when he was with the Cowboys before he got supplanted by Ferguson. And then also, even as not the primary tight end for the Texans last week, he was targeted 5 times and caught 3 of them for 28 yards. So at the price point he is, if you just told me right now, and once again, keep in mind, everything was working against him last week in terms of he wasn't the number 1 tight end. It was a really low scoring game. They end up losing the game 14-9. He still put up 5.8 fantasy points. At $3,200, honestly, if you told me that he's getting 5.8, I wouldn't say, like, I need to have him. I wouldn't hate if I was getting that same result again. And that was kind of everything working against him. This spot is so much better than what they had last week after you're looking at what the final results were last week.
Yeah, I'm with you. Marco, good advice, he says. Thank you, Marco. But signing up for the membership's too expensive. Jay Nevy, Marco, I literally got the membership Sims for free for the entire year. I used them. Yeah, I just told you how to get it. I mean, does it take a few minutes of your day? Sure. But you're talking like $5 or $10 to get a month and then get as many months as you want. Or go to stokastic.com/HOF, use the avatar wherever it is you play. And if you want to use that, guess what? Finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, even if it's in like the nickel or the quarter arcade, get a free month of the Sims Max. Win twice in a calendar year. You're getting another month plus another week of any sport you want. That's max. Get gold 3 wins in a year, no matter the entry fee. You're getting Sims All Access. And of course, the Ring of Honor. You know, if have any 20K plus win and you get the ring, a custom display case with your name engraved on that beautiful thing, it even spins. Would you look at it go? I mean, look, that's pretty sweet. We try and make you guys happy and have some fun with this when you guys take down some big tournaments. Rock the avatars. Links down there, stokastic.com/HOF. We want to win together, man. We want to win together. Anyway, I wanted to ask you about the wide receivers, if we can go back there. Are there any of the highest owned or highest exposed ones that you don't love?
Ooh, I wouldn't say the short answer is no. The longer answer is I'm maybe a little bit concerned about Ladd McConkey going forward. It's not going to prevent me from rostering him tonight or anything like that. But relative to ownership, we are a little bit underweight to the field, so he still shows up in 56% of lineups. But the Chargers seem to have a lot of weapons in the passing game. Keenan Allen's back. It seems like he's still got juice left. Quinn Johnston is still very much involved in the passing game as well. He's a red zone target. So you had a situation last week where, it's not like Ladd McConkey was bad or anything like that. There's just a lot of guys for Justin Herbert to throw the ball to. And I don't think that is going to be the case with, say, Nico Collins, who, despite his poor game in week 1, I do think is very, very likely to dominate the target share going forward. I don't know if you share some of those same concerns, but it seems pretty live to me that Ladd McConkey is going to command less targets this year than he had last year.
Do I think with Keenan Allen's return that he could see a bit less? Yes. But the thing about Ladd McConkey is if you have a guy who is always open and is elite at creating separation, the quarterback's going to throw you the football. Like I'm just convinced he's going to keep getting the ball, and he's excellent at both of those things, like route win rate, all of these things that you would look at to see how talented a player is. And as a rookie, he was fantastic at doing that. I think, you just keep getting open. You're going to keep getting the ball. Do I agree, though, that adding Keenan Allen to the mix could throw a wrench into the works? Yeah, maybe we won't see like a bunch of 15 target games, but I really think Ladd's one of the preeminent receivers in the league. I think he's that good. So 6,900. Do I think he should be 2,000 more than Keenan Allen right now? Probably not, but also Ladd McConkey is far and away the best receiver on this team.
I agree with that. So I guess another way to look at it is because once again, Ladd McConkey showing up in 56% of lineups in the first run here. I guess the better question is, because I don't think any of them are between Mike Evans, Ladd McConkey, Nico Collins as pay up options. All of them are reasonable guys to go to. I wouldn't tell anybody you have to take them out of your lineup. If I had to, if I was building one lineup and I could only play 2 out of the 3 pay up options, I'm more like the one I'm most likely to take out of the lineup is Ladd McConkey, just because I could put Keenan Allen into that lineup and I'm getting some salary savings. I'm getting lower ownership. And then as far as the Mike Evans versus Emeka Egbuka, the reason I personally prefer Mike Evans is because Egbuka he won GPPs last week in his first game. I think the field is probably going to gravitate more towards Egbuka than Evans, even though we do currently have Evans projected for more ownership. So this is just kind of more of a personal opinion right now. I think Egbuka is going to be a little bit higher on the what we're projecting, Mike Evans to be a little bit lower owned. So just looking at some of the leverage points, I prefer Keenan Allen for lower ownership. And I also think Mike Evans is ultimately going to be lower owned than Egbuka. So if I'm choosing just 2 of the 3 pay up wide receivers, the one I'm leaving out is Ladd McConkey. Is it Mike Evans for you, or is it all 3 of them if possible?
It's probably Egbuka, honestly. I think 5,800 is a perfectly reasonable price point, but Jacoby Myers at 4,900 is wild. Ladd at 69 is fine. Keenan at 48 is fine, is great. Mike Evans at his price point is good. I'm a fan of Egbuka. Like, this guy's clearly good out of the gate, but also you're going up against a much more tenacious secondary in this week. I'll take the veteran Mike Evans in a spot like this before I take Egbuka. I'm still perfectly fine getting to Emeka Egbuka. Don't get me wrong, but that would probably be the guy for me. Also, if you're trying to like full out punt, if there was one guy just to throw out there, 2 guys, I do think Trey Tucker looks fine because he's going to be out there and he's going to get some opportunities. We saw it last week. He also gets some deep attempts or deep targets, but also Sterling Shepard. It is the most unsexy play you're ever going to find. There's no denying that, but he's the clear wide receiver 3 in this offense right now. Tez Johnson and Cameron Johnson combined to play 9 total snaps last week, and Sterling Shepard was out there for 64% of them, ran 27 routes. He's somebody that, while it's gross and he's washed, at the very least, they still like him as their wide receiver 3. So he's dirt cheap and nobody's going to play him. I only say that because if you're paying up everywhere else and you're looking for just a full out punt and you need one at minimum salary, he still exists.
If I'm punting, I'm going to say Jaden Higgins, and it's just because Christian Kirk is out again.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, the only thing there is like I have no clue who their third guy is. Is it Justin Watson? Is it Higgins? Is it Noel? I don't know. I mean, but Higgins could be the guy that just ends up being good. It's very possible. I hope one of those assholes doesn't win a tournament today. That's my hope. But anyway, Justin Watson played a decent amount last game. Let's take a look at tight ends before we get out of here. We did take a look at Schultz. Are there any other guys that are appealing to you? Because boy, are we concentrating a lot of exposure to two players between Schultz and Brock Bowers.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty simple. If you're going to go cheap, the preference is Schultz. If you want to pay up, there's only one option if you're paying up. It's Brock Bowers. There's no scenario unless we find out that Brock Bowers is some sort of setback and isn't able to play. If you have the available salary, you're just playing Brock Bowers at tight end. If you're going cheap, I think Dalton Schultz is so much better than the other cheap options. So I don't really think there's that many decision points to make a tight end.
Me neither. The one guy that I'm willing to play, though, is Michael Mayer. If Brock on a 2-game slate, if Brock Bowers, I'm just playing this from a contrarian perspective, Greg, get leverage there. If Brock Bowers ends up being 60+% owned and he plays, maybe he's potentially limited. He has had the additional day to get ready, but still, this is a knee. You could clearly tell he tweaked it. He's been limited in practice, didn't get a full practice in. Do you think maybe there's a possibility that he's not 100% or that he tweaks it early again? Again, remember, we're talking about a 2-game slate, not a main slate. Michael Mayer is somebody that they've loved throughout camp. They said he's taken huge strides. They've really liked him. He was 4 for 4 with 38 yards receiving last game as well. That's a guy that I'd be willing to get a little over the field on just to create some leverage. And I think there's multiple ways it could work, including even if Brock Bowers does play and isn't limited. So that would be my guy, kind of under the radar, zero ownership type of play would be Michael Mayer at 3,300.
Yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable at all. People were freaking out in the early going of the Raiders game last week because Brock Bowers, I think, played 2 of the first 8 snaps. And everybody's like, oh my God, Brock Bowers is not going to be involved in the Raiders offense this year. And then it's like midway through the third quarter, he's over 100 receiving yards. But then he bangs up his knee, isn't able to finish the game. Bowers, assuming the health is fine, I don't really have those concerns about what his workload is going to be going forward. I think he is very, very likely to be the number 1 overall fantasy tight end this season. But yeah, because we do have some of those knee concerns, maybe gets hit and something funny happens with him. He doesn't feel right. If you want to take a chance on a contrarian tight end, I agree with you. I think Michael Mayer is the contrarian tight end to take a shot on.
By the way, DraftKings Pick 6, sponsor of the show today, the one that I'm looking at here for these games tonight, and you have a ton of prop, a massive assortment of props over there on DraftKings Pick 6, is the over on CJ Stroud rushing yards. I think he's going to have to move a little bit here. But, man, looking at some of the numbers, you've got Herbert at 252.5 passing, Mayfield at 232. You're putting your selections in, and then you come down to some of these rushing plus receiving touchdowns. Geez, man, how do you approach the 0.5 rushing plus receiving? So touchdowns in the sense of it's just, do they score a touchdown or do they not? But you've got, no odds attached to these either, Greg.
Yeah, so I know that was also something that you had posted over on Tails, or if you guys want to get more info from us, totally for free, go over to tails.bet and follow Loughy and I over there. But yeah, I know that you had posted CJ Stroud for more than, what was it, 5.5 rushing yards? I think that was the number.
Yeah, 10.5.
About 10.5. Sorry. I don't know why I had the wrong number in my head, but I agree with you. I think that's a good look. I think it's a good look, especially when you consider that in a lot of these games with the state of their offensive line, he is often running for his life. And, he's one of the more mobile quarterbacks in the league. Yeah,
that's how I feel as well. Just looking at it here, they have 11 picks up for CJ Stroud as well. And they've got him at 12.5 rushing yards over on pick 6. So there's going to be spots that you can exploit here. Another one being Ashton Genty. You look at Ashton Genty on pick 6, and where's his rushing plus receiving? 67.5, 90.5. So there's going to be opportunities where they shade a lot of these numbers, not even shade them, but just they inflate these overs, expecting a lot of the casuals to come in and grab the overs. There may be a real chance here to grab some good unders here, especially looking at, in conjunction with the Stokastic projections can go a long way in helping you out. If you're not over there yet, I imagine most of you guys are on DraftKings watching this show, but they've done a lot with Pick Six. And given that it is the peer-to-peer format where you're playing against other people, it's a real shot of winning some good money.
Yeah, and also when you look at some of the Pick Six, a lot of it plays kind of like DFS GPPs where you're playing in big fields against other people. So it is fun game over for DraftKings Pick Six, and new customers play $5 in first pick sets and get $50 in bonus picks. If you do have a problem, call or text the number 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus, valid only where Pick Six operates. See dkng.co/Pick6 states. Void in New York and Ontario and where prohibited. Eligibility restrictions apply. One per new customer. $5 in first pick set to receive max $50 issued as non-withdrawable bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Ends on October 13th at 11:59 p.m. Terms can be found at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Sponsored by DraftKings.
Lovely. John Daly, he hit an 80x there the other night. Beautiful. Yeah, man, check it out. Anything else you want to hit on before we say goodbye for the day? Unless it's defense or any interesting builds that you may have that we haven't talked about yet, Greg. I think we've covered a lot over the last hour plus. So it's pretty much it for me. And as far as defense, I really will just play whoever shows up. I don't think you're ever going to have a significant edge unless there's a defense that just nobody's touching, and then it gets weird and interesting. But it appears that they're all pretty close in ownership today.
Yeah, I have no real crazy lean on defense. The price tags are close. The projections are close. If you guys haven't done it, also like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It does help us out a whole bunch. But no other takes on the slate for me, Loughy.
All right. Hey, you guys are the best. Appreciate you. One more time, if you haven't checked us out over on Tails, it's fun, man. We're just sweating bets together all year long. And Greg and I are posting them for free. We decided to do that because why not? Build a community over there and do everything we can to just, get free content out, build stuff, have fun, sweat bets together. And it's you just click the link down there where it says follow Greg or Loughy, and then you just click follow, and that's it. You create a free account. It takes a second. So let's have some fun, man. If we hang out here all the time together, why not take it to the betting streets together in tandem and win some together? Look, the best thing about betting outside of DFS, and DFS, we're all playing against each other. When it comes to betting, like tonight, whether it's Ashton Genty or whether it's, this CJ Stroud spot, we're against the books, man. It's us against the books, and we're going to do it together. Greg's got picks up there already as well. And it's very simple to just go search a name, follow them, and jump right in. So, yeah, if you go, Greg, are you under Greg Ehrenberg or G Ehrenberg?
I think Greg. It's a good question. I'm fairly sure just Greg, and you'll find me.
You got any bets up?
I do. I've got one that I posted for today. But yeah, if you were just type in Greg and you'll see me.
There we go. There we go. And all your bankroll thread picks. Ooh, we both are on the Texans today. Okay. All right. So there you go. Come hang out. We'll see you guys over there. Have a great rest of the day. Live before lock tonight. I assume we have. Oh, yeah. And Josh is live right now on the MLB Strategy Show. MLB Live before lock tonight. All that fun stuff. We try and put out as much free content as we can for you guys here on YouTube. So that's what we do. We'll see you back here, Spags and myself tonight. Follow Greg, G. Ehrenberg DFS. Me, Loughy _D. Bye-bye.